You never forget the small things. The scent of lemon pledge in the hallway. The creak of a screen door in the summer. The sound of Patsy Cline floating from a kitchen radio while your mother hums along, folding laundry. Or the way your father's boots echoed on the porch steps, like a promise that, just maybe, everything was all right. My name is Madeline Reeves, and I was the firstborn in a family that, from the outside, looked like the picture of 1980s middle-class America. We had a neat white picket fence, a lavender-filled front yard, and a cherry-red 1968 Chevy Impala that Dad treated like his fourth child. Our living room glowed under warm lamplight while we huddled together for I Love Lucy reruns on a black-and-white TV. It all looked so idyllic, so American. But inside that house, I wasn't a daughter. I was an experiment. My parents, Mark and Evelyn Reeves, were obsessed with raising a high-performing child. Dad, a software engineer, called parenting a data project, tapping away at his Radio Shack calculator like my life could be optimized. Mom, a former teacher, had 43 child psychology books stacked beside her percolator, pages marked up in blue ink and yellow highlighter. I wasn't their baby, I was their blueprint, their prototype. And they measured me like a science fair project. By the time I was 3 and still couldn't count to 20, I'd already failed their expectations. I remember Mom whispering in the hallway one night, thinking I was asleep. She's not advancing like we hoped. Dad just sighed, tapping his fingers, probably calculating how far behind I was. When I was 4, everything changed. That's when Lana was born. She arrived like a little miracle. Her high chair played Mozart. Her crib had organic bamboo sheets. Her baby monitor blinked like a NASA control panel. And me? I was given a stack of workbooks, a stubby pencil, and a quiet study space in the dining room. One afternoon, I was building a Lego tower, lost in joy, when Mom passed by humming Stand By Your Man. She glanced down for barely a second. Lana's 7 months and already doing 3-step sequences, she said. Then, with a sigh, you never mind. That never mind didn't feel small. It felt like a door closing. And it stayed closed. By the time I was 8, I had stopped trying to shine. Even when I won second place in a school-wide art contest, a forest scene I painted with mixed watercolors and heart, I came home bursting with pride. But Mom barely looked up. Nice, honey, she said. But Lana, just read a short story in English. Dad didn't even speak. The rustle of his newspaper was louder than my hope. So I folded that canvas away like I folded myself. Quietly, carefully. I stopped asking to be seen. My bedroom, the one upstairs overlooking the woods, was my only refuge. The light came in soft through the blinds, dancing on drawings I taped to the walls, dragons, stars, the kinds of things that made me feel like I existed. Until I turned 12. Lana burst into my room, chin high, voice sharp. Mom says I'm moving in here. I need the space for my study setup. I blinked. This is my room. She shrugged. Not anymore. The next day, my bed, my drawings, my books gone. Replaced by Lana's sleek white desk, her memory foam chair, her bright daylight lamp. I was moved to a cramped room by the laundry, where the washer thumped day and night. No window view. No warmth. Just white walls and the smell of Tide. My drawings were folded in a box. My name, my space, erased. I sat on the too small bed that night, fists clenched, heart cracking, and realized something with painful clarity. In my own home, I was no longer a daughter. I was a shadow. The new room was a cage, its walls closing in with every thump of the washer. Hallway light crept under the door, pale and unfamiliar. Just yesterday, I'd been Madeline of the Forest View room, where I could breathe. Now Lana had it, a sleek white desk, a memory foam chair, a lamp mimicking daylight, all for a prodigy. My heart ached, not for the room, but for the girl I'd been, who still hoped she mattered. I'd learned to be invisible long before. At 9, when Lana got the flu, I stayed up 2 nights reading her science fair material, quizzing her on ecosystems so she wouldn't fall behind. She won first place, But no one noticed my red eyes or the books I'd lugged home. At 10, I fixed Dad's jammed printer, my fingers smudged with ink, so he could finish his report. He grunted a thanks, his eyes already elsewhere. Each time, I hoped for a glance, a nod, anything to say I mattered. Each time, silence swallowed me, my heart shrinking with the weight of being unseen. I broke my silent rule. "Mom," I called, voice trembling. "Why would you take my room? It's been mine since I was little." She didn't turn from her meatloaf prep, the scent of onions heavy in the air. "You're older, Madeline. Lana needs it more. Don't make a scene." The word scene hit like a slap, as if my pain was selfish, as if I was breaking the family's fragile script. I swallowed my tears, walked back to the little room, and shut the door. That night, I lay awake, realizing I was the shadow, not the star, just a measure of Lana's light. By high school, Lana's world was elite. Belridge Academy, a $50,000 a year private school with Ivy League counselors. A black SUV whisked her away each morning. She had piano lessons, fencing classes, a French tutor. I walked to public school, my sneakers worn thin, paying for AP exams with babysitting money from watching the neighbors' kids. When Lana's tutor needed quiet, I studied at the library, my backpack heavy with borrowed books. I didn't complain. I'd stopped expecting fairness, though a small voice whispered, "Maybe one day they'll see me." A flicker of hope came in history class. Mrs. Callahan handed back my essay on the Great Depression, her red pen scrawling, "You see patterns others miss." I clutched that paper, my heart swelling, and tucked it into my binder like a secret. It was a spark in the dark, a reminder that someone saw me. The final blow came at a Tuesday dinner with my grandparents, Arthur and Helen, the only ones who ever asked about me. Grandma's chicken pot pie warmed the table, its flaky crust a taste of her Sunday suppers, when we'd listen to the AM radio playing Sinatra. As we ate, she turned to me, her eyes kind. "What about you, Madeline? Any college plans?" My heart leapt, a rare chance to be heard. "I've applied to the University of Oregon and UC Davis," I said, voice bright. Oregon accepted me into their business program with a partial scholarship. "If I can get more aid." Mom's fork clanged, sharp as a warning. "Madeline, we can't help with tuition this year." Dad's voice was flat. "Lana's in the Ivy League prep track. It's a rare opportunity." The air left my lungs. The savings they'd promised for both of us were hers. "But you said—" I started, my voice cracking. Mom cut in, her tone rehearsed. "Lana has real potential, sweetheart. Maybe community college. It's not a bad option." My vision blurred, the pie turning to ash. I wanted to scream, to ask why I was never enough, but years of silence held me back. Grandma Helen's spoon clinked softly. "Evelyn," she said, her voice firm, "both girls are our granddaughters. I won't watch one be cast aside." Grandpa nodded, his hand tapping the table, a rhythm from his Korean War days. "It's our business." The silence was electric. My heart, bruised but beating, whispered, "You are enough." The table stayed quiet. Lana scrolled her phone, my shattered dreams just background noise. Dad sipped from an empty glass, avoiding my eyes. Mom cleared plates like nothing happened. I sat, pie cold, a dull ache in my chest. I wasn't angry. I was stunned, as if my future had been tossed out with the scraps. "Be realistic," Mom said from the sink, not looking up. "College is expensive. Lana's track is demanding." Then Grandma Helen's voice cut through. "Evelyn, we need to talk." Her tone was sharp but controlled as she led Mom to the kitchen. Grandpa leaned over, his hand warm on my arm. "You've done nothing wrong, kiddo," he said, his eyes steady. "Back in '53, in Korea, I learned you don't need a crowd to know your worth." His fingers tapped the table, a habit from his Navy days, and I clung to his words like a lifeline. Later, alone in the kitchen, I rinsed plates, the water soothing my trembling hands. Grandma returned, her presence a quiet strength. She watched me, then spoke. "You don't carry this alone anymore." I paused, dish halfway under the faucet. We're paying your college tuition. All of it. No loans. No strings. I nearly dropped the plate, my breath catching. It's so much money, I whispered, tears pooling. She pressed a silver locket into my hand. This got me through losing our farm in '63, she said. I was told I wasn't enough either. But I learned value comes from within. Keep it, Madeline. I clutched the locket and fell into her arms, sobbing like the child who'd once sat at her knee, rolling dough for chicken pot pie as she sang Moon River. You've given up so much without asking for anything, she murmured. That's strength. I remembered those Sunday afternoons, her hands guiding mine, her voice soft. Stir gently, Madeline. Love makes it taste right. That fall, I left the Reeves house. Mom's half-hearted hug came with a warning. Be frugal. Don't expect anything. Dad said nothing, his silence louder than words. Lana didn't glance up from her phone. I wheeled my suitcase past the lavender I'd helped plant. It scent bittersweet, and didn't look back. The University of Oregon wasn't Ivy League, but it was freedom. My dorm neighbor, Sarah, left coffee outside my door during finals, a post-it reading, "You're killing it, Mads." That kindness felt like home. I juggled 3 jobs, barista, gym clerk, tutoring econ late into the night. My first semester, I feared failing microeconomics, but when Dr. Patel scrawled, "Impressive grit" on my B+ paper, I held that grade like a lifeline. Another time, I negotiated a $1 raise at the cafe, enough to buy a used textbook. Those moments stitched my courage together, like Grandma's pie crust. Every Friday, I called Grandma and Grandpa. Ace my econ test, I'd say, and Grandma's reply never wavered. We're proud, sweetheart. Once, she shared a story of her youth, working as a seamstress in the '60s, saving pennies for a radio. They said I'd never amount to much, she said. But I kept going, stitch by stitch. You're doing the same. Their belief was a warm hearth. I didn't need my parents. I'd found my voice, trembling but true. College wasn't glamorous, no sunsets or instant breakthroughs. Mornings meant rushing from the cafe, coffee stains on my apron, to lectures. Afternoons were spent scribbling notes until my hands cramped. Nights, I tutored freshmen under flickering library lights. But I was building myself, stitch by stitch. I devoured books on economics and psychology, their pages my escape and armor. I watched lectures at 3 a.m., my eyes burning, and filled notebooks with ideas. I wasn't just studying, I was proving I was enough. Sophomore year, I won a $500 grant for an econ essay, enough for a used laptop. Another time, I stood up to a classmate who scoffed at my analysis, calmly explaining a supply curve until he nodded, impressed. Those quiet victories fueled me. Then came Dr. Elgin, a professor whose feedback cut deep. After class, he stopped me. You see connections others miss, he said. I'm putting your name in for an internship at Bradley Capital. You'll be up against grad students from top-tier universities. Make it count. My hands shook as I read the acceptance email, my chest tight, with a mix of nerves and hope. In Seattle, I stepped into a high-rise, its glass walls reflecting a world I'd thought was beyond me. My thrifted blazer felt stiff, my resume a lifeline. What's key to success? A manager? Zaylin asked. I didn't blink. Reading people like my grandma taught me, I said. You listen to their hopes, their fears, and build from there. They nodded. 3 days later, I got the call. I was in. That summer, I worked harder than ever, skipping lunches, staying late, asking questions others avoided. I earned a full-time role, my heart soaring as I clutched Grandma's locket. 3 years later, I noticed something off. Investments that looked too perfect. My gut twisted, doubt creeping in. 2 sleepless nights of digging revealed a company faking its growth. If we didn't act, people's retirements, their peace of mind, would vanish. My heart pounded as I walked into the boardroom, a report in hand. We need to pull out, I said, voice steady despite my shaking hands. Silence. The CFO leaned back. She'd just saved countless futures. Within days, my plan protected the firm. 6 months later, we saw record growth. I was promoted to lead strategist, my name on the door. Nights after work, I built a system to read markets like Grandma read people, patiently, with heart. When it predicted major shifts, the firm adopted it. The girl told to settle for community college was safeguarding livelihoods. My parents never called. But in my office, city lights glowing, I stood with proof. I was rising, my heart fierce with purpose. Success didn't erase the nights I'd cried, wondering if I mattered. It didn't undo the years I'd spent in silence, cooking dinners no one thanked, reading to Lana through fevers no one noticed. But it gave me clarity. I didn't need approval from those who'd taught me I wasn't worth celebrating. When I became Chief Strategic Officer at Bradley, a title with an office, a team, a seat at the top, I didn't post it online or call my parents. I held it close, like a flame I'd kindled alone. Grandma Helen insisted on a gathering. "Madeline," she said, her hands dusted with flour as we made her chicken pot pie, "let us celebrate you. Just family, just love." The word family stirred hope. Then Mom called, her voice soft. "Let us host it in Salem. A fresh start." Those words lit a flicker of trust. Maybe they saw me. I wired $3,500 for catering, decorations, not asking for details. I wanted to believe. But arriving at the house, heels clicking on the stone path, my heart sank. White orchids lined tables. Gold ribbon curled up the staircase. Waitstaff carried silver trays. It wasn't my celebration, it was a performance. Lana descended the stairs in a red satin dress, beside a sharp-suited man, Andrew. Guests cheered. Mom beamed. "We're here to celebrate Lana and Andrew's engagement." Applause crashed over me. My champagne glass trembled. This was my moment, my money. My chest burned with the ache of being erased. I stepped forward, but Dad's hand clamped my wrist. "Don't ruin this," he hissed. "Cause a scene, and you're cut off. No contact, no inheritance." My heart thundered. "Stay silent? Again?" Grandma Helen's nod across the room, steady as when we'd rolled pie dough, gave me strength. I pulled free, lifted my glass, and said, "Excuse me." My voice cut through the chatter. Lana snapped, "Don't, Madeline. You're just jealous." The words stung, but I stood taller, my locket warm. "This event was for my promotion to Chief Strategic Officer," I said, loud enough for all to hear. "I paid for it." My mother agreed to host. She never told me it would be an engagement party. Gasps rippled. "I'm not against Lana's engagement," I continued, tears pricking my eyes. "But I'm done being erased, like my childhood, my room, my college savings, my place in this family." Andrew turned to Lana. "You said this was a family dinner." Lana flushed. I didn't want to wait. With her money, he cut in, walking out. Lana stumbled after him, but his car roared away. Silence fell. Dad growled, "Know your place." I met his gaze. "This isn't a family. It's favoritism." Grandpa Arthur stepped forward, his voice ringing, his hand tapping like in his Korea stories. "If you cut Madeline off, our will, updated 3 months ago, leaves everything, house, investments, to her." Mom gasped. "Why?" Grandma answered. "She never schemed, never tore anyone down. She knows value." I walked out into the night. The lavender's scent a reminder of roots I'd outgrown. My heart was heavy, but free. The door clicked shut, and I stepped into the night, my heels steady. Unlike years ago, when I dragged my suitcase, heart aching, I walked with calm certainty. I wasn't leaving a family. I was leaving a lie. I drove to Grandma and Grandpa's red brick home, where the scent of cinnamon rolls drifted. Grandma opened the door, a blanket folded over her arm. "I didn't mean for it to go that way," I said, my voice rough. "You didn't cause anything," she said, wrapping me in warmth. "You stopped pretending." We sat on the porch, sipping tea, stars above us. Grandpa joined, his hand tapping a rhythm. "In Korea, I stood alone against a storm," he said. "You've got that strength, kiddo." I clutched the locket, my heart full, and felt whole, not because I'd won, but because I'd chosen myself. 3 years passed. I haven't spoken to my parents. They never apologized. Lana's life unraveled. She quit her fashion program, tried being an influencer, then moved back home, into my old room. I felt no triumph, only distance. Then came a twist. Grandpa's lawyer found Mom had funneled my college savings into Lana's failed startup. The betrayal stung, but it didn't break me. I'd built my life without them, tier by tier. At Bradley, I poured my heart into work, not to escape, but to create. I refined my system, protecting people's futures. I mentored young women, girls with quiet brilliance like me. I traveled, spoke at panels, and found fulfillment no spotlight could match. 2 months ago, the CEO, Richard Langley, called me in. I'm retiring. The board voted you as my successor. My breath caught. You've built trust, vision, he said. At 30, I became the youngest female CEO in the firm's history. That night, I stood in my office, city lights twinkling beyond the glass. The golden glow of my lamp cast soft shadows. I touched the locket, thinking of the girl who'd cooked unthanked dinners, who'd believed she was nothing. She stood tall now, her heart at peace. I'd become more than a title. I'd become whole. The moment that mattered was calling my grandparents. I did it, I whispered. Grandpa chuckled, his tapping steady. Grandma said, "You've always been worthy." That Sunday, we toasted with cider, laughing over photos of my Lego castles, worn like Mom's old 45s. Do you regret leaving everything to me? I asked. Grandma shook her head. We left it to the one who understood value, who knew when to stay silent and when to speak. You're our legacy. That was my inheritance, not the house, but the belief my worth was mine to claim. Weeks later, I ran into Lana in my office lobby. She looked tired, her eyes hollow. How do you do it? She asked. Stand on your own? I looked at her, not with hate. Because I had nothing, I said. That's when I learned. She walked away. I felt nothing, and that was healing. Back in my office, I joined my team, charts glowing. No fanfare, just certainty. I didn't rise to prove them wrong. I rose because I was right all along. This story is for anyone who's felt unseen, who's sacrificed for family, who's carried silence. Maybe you gave up a career for your children, or worked long hours no one noticed. Your quiet strength built generations, even if unthanked. Like Madeline, you carry a spark no one can extinguish. You're never too old to reclaim your story, whether you're 30, 60, or 80. Your worth matters. If you're a grandparent like mine, don't underestimate your belief. It might be the only light someone needs to keep going. Take a moment. What's one step you can take to honor your worth? Share your story with someone, or join our community on our channel, where we celebrate resilience like Madeline's. Subscribe to stay inspired, and let's keep building lives that shine, stitch by stitch.